The sound of a quiet sob echoed from the small, dimly lit kitchen of Rosewood Diner. Plates clattered softly in the background, but the sobs of Ella, a teenage waitress barely 16, cut through the mundane chatter like a piercing alarm. She pressed her hands against her face, trembling, hiding tears that had nowhere else to go. No one in the restaurant noticed, at least not until the doorbell jingled in a way that made the air shift. 40 black leather jackets entered, the unmistakable growl of motorcycles still faintly audible as they approached. Each step of the bikers' boots carried weight, presence, and an unspoken warning. At the front, Cole, their leader, scanned the diner with sharp eyes, immediately noticing the small girl in the corner of the kitchen, her hands shaking, cheeks streaked with tears. He didn't say a word at first, he simply walked forward, the rest of the bikers forming a silent wall behind him. Ella looked up, startled. Who? She stammered, voice barely audible over her sobs. Cole crouched slightly, voice calm but commanding. Hey, it's okay. Nobody's going to hurt you in here. You're safe. The other bikers fanned out through the diner, some near the doors, others near the counter, their eyes scanning, protective, alert. Engines hummed faintly outside, a reminder that these were not ordinary men, they were Hell's Angels, and loyalty, protection, and justice were in their very nature. Ella blinked through tears, confusion mixing with a fragile spark of hope. But, why are you here? Cole's eyes softened. We don't let people hurt kids. Not while we're around. That's all you need to know right now. Her breath caught, and she wiped at her cheeks. But, it's just, my boss, he's been, her voice cracked, trailing off into sobs. Hank, a giant with a soft voice, stepped closer, handing her a folded napkin. Hey, it's okay. You don't have to say anything if you don't want. But we're here. That's what matters. The air in the diner changed. Where moments ago there had been nervous chatter and ordinary fear, now there was a presence of protection so strong it was almost tangible. The bikers weren't here to intimidate, they were here to shield, to stand, and to act for someone who couldn't defend herself. Cole glanced around the diner, speaking to the team in a low, measured tone. Everyone. Perimeter. Eyes everywhere. No one touches her. Not a single person. Understood. The collective murmur of affirmation carried weight, finality, and loyalty. 40 bikers, silent and imposing, had just transformed the diner from a simple eatery into a fortress of moral resolve. Ella's small hands trembled as she gripped the edge of the counter, realization dawning slowly, she was not alone. For the first time, fear was met with courage, tears met with protection, and vulnerability met with unwavering loyalty. And in that tense, electric moment, she understood something she had never known before. When the right people show up, even the most ordinary place can become a sanctuary. The din of the restaurant had quieted into a tense stillness, the hum of conversation replaced by the subtle hum of leather-clad bikers shifting into positions. Cole and his crew scanned the room like predators with precision, eyes sharp, muscles coiled, ready to protect. Hank knelt beside Ella, voice soft but commanding. Kid, look at me. You're safe now. Nobody's touching you while we're here. Not a single soul. Ella wiped her tears, voice shaky. I don't know what I'd do, if... Sable, a tall biker with kind eyes, crouched across from her. You don't have to do anything. We're here for you. That's what matters. You tell us what we need to know, and we'll handle the rest. Cole moved closer, voice calm but firm. Start from the beginning, kid. Who's hurting you, and how long has it been happening? Ella hesitated, fear still clinging to her voice. My boss, he says things, touches things. I tried telling someone, but no one listened. I didn't know where else to go. The bikers stiffened, a collective shift of controlled fury. They didn't speak over her, they listened, absorbing every detail. Their presence alone was a fortress, conveying an unspoken promise. You are seen, you are protected, you are not alone. Ryder, a veteran biker with streaks of grey in his hair, stepped forward. You did the right thing by telling us. That's courage, kid. That's the first step to being safe. Nobody gets to hurt you while we're here. That's loyalty. That's family. Hank nodded, voice gentle. We're not just here to scare him. We're here to make sure you're safe. And we'll stay until you know that for sure. Cole turned to the rest of the bikers. Perimeter tight. Every exit watched. Any sign of trouble, and we act. No exceptions. Outside, the faint rumble of parked Harleys hinted at the larger force waiting beyond the windows, ready to respond instantly if needed. Inside, the bikers maintained a human shield around Ella, a presence so tangible it felt almost physical. Ella's hands stopped trembling slightly as she realized she was no longer invisible. She wasn't powerless. She had a team who understood courage, loyalty, and moral strength. She had people who would act, not because they had to, but because it was the right thing to do. Cole crouched beside her, voice soft. Remember, kid, bravery isn't never feeling fear. Bravery is standing up, telling someone, and letting the right people protect you. And right now, that's exactly what's happening. The tension in the room eased slightly, replaced by an electric sense of safety. Ella's eyes shimmered with a fragile hope. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, she realized she could breathe without fear. The bikers had arrived not just to confront danger, they had arrived to restore trust, protection, and a sense of belonging she never thought she'd feel. The kitchen door rattled as a shadowy figure stepped into the diner, eyes darting nervously. It was her boss, the source of Ella's fear, arriving unaware that 40 bikers had just transformed the space into a fortress of loyalty and protection. The moment he saw them, the confident sneer on his face faltered. Cole's voice cut through the tense silence, low, steady, and absolutely commanding. Step aside. Nobody touches her. The man froze, glancing at the bikers fanning out across the diner. Every table, every aisle, every exit was guarded by men whose presence radiated moral authority and unyielding loyalty. He could feel the weight of their attention, their silent promise of protection. Hank stepped forward, his towering frame a living wall. You heard him. Leave. Now. Sable moved silently to another exit, blocking escape. Ryder's gaze never wavered from the man, every line of his face calm but deadly. It wasn't aggression that intimidated, it was the unshakable moral resolve, the certainty that justice and loyalty would not be denied. Ella clutched the counter edge, eyes wide, watching the display of controlled power. Her fear hadn't vanished completely, but it had been tempered by the presence of those who would stand for her, no questions asked. Cole crouched slightly to her level. Kid, remember what I said. Courage isn't about never being afraid. Courage is trusting the right people to protect you. That's what's happening right now. The boss stammered, trying to assert control, but the biker's silent coordination left no room for defiance. Slowly, muttering under his breath, he backed toward the door. Each step he took was measured, hesitant, and aware that any misstep could provoke a swift response. Hank's voice followed him like a shadow. You step outside. You don't come back. Got it? Finally, the man retreated, leaving the diner in stunned silence. The hum of engines outside reminded everyone that the bikers' protection extended beyond the walls, an ever-present force ready to act. Ella exhaled, trembling but relieved. The wave of fear that had consumed her for weeks began to ebb. She looked around at the bikers, her protectors, and realized something profound. Safety was not about walls or locks, but about people who would stand by her, unwavering, when danger came. Ryder placed a hand gently on her shoulder. See that, kid? That's what loyalty looks like. That's what courage looks like. And that's what family does. The diner had transformed in an instant. A place of ordinary work and whispered fears was now a sanctuary of protection, courage, and moral strength. Ella understood that the world could be harsh, but with the right people standing with her, even the darkest threats could be confronted and overcome. The tension in the diner began to ease, replaced by a quiet warmth that filled the air. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but Ella's small frame still trembled, her hands clutching the counter as if it were the only anchor to reality. Jace, One of the bikers who had been observing quietly from the corner stepped forward, crouching to her level. "Hey, kid, you're safe now," he said softly. "Nobody's going to hurt you while we're here. That's a promise." Ella blinked, voice shaky. "But I've been scared for so long. I didn't think anyone would ever care." Cole knelt beside her, voice calm, unwavering. "That's the point, kid. We do care. Loyalty isn't just a word, it's action. You see us here, right? We're not just talking. We're standing. Every single one of us. That's what family does." Hank handed her a warm blanket and a small cup of cocoa. "Wrap yourself up. Take a breath. You're allowed to feel scared, but you're also allowed to feel safe now." Ella's hands trembled as she accepted the blanket, the warmth a tangible reminder that she was no longer alone. Sable crouched nearby, her gaze kind and steady. "You're strong, kid. The courage you showed just by telling us what happened, that's real bravery. And you don't have to be brave alone anymore." The bikers began sharing quiet stories, moments of protection and loyalty from their own lives, each tale a testament to courage and moral strength. Ella listened, captivated, as the reality sank in. She was no longer invisible. She had people who would rise for her, people who understood that true strength isn't about intimidation, it's about showing up when it matters most. Cole leaned in, his voice low, but resolute. "Kid, bravery isn't about never being afraid. It's about letting the right people stand with you. That's what's happening right now. You're learning what loyalty, protection, and moral strength really mean." Ella's lips curved into a small, fragile smile, tears still glistening but hope beginning to bloom. The diner, once a place of whispered threats and isolation, had transformed into a sanctuary. The bikers weren't just intimidating outsiders, they were guardians, mentors, and a living testament to courage and moral resolve. Outside, the motorcycles gleamed in the morning light, engines silent but ready. Inside, warmth, trust, and safety filled the space. Ella realized that she had found something she hadn't known she'd been missing, a family who would act, protect, and stand unwaveringly by her side. And for the first time, she truly believed she could face the world without fear. Not because she was alone, but because she had people who would never let her face it alone. The diner had settled into a tense calm, but Cole knew the morning's events were only the beginning. Outside, the motorcycles gleamed under the soft winter sun, a silent army ready to move at a moment's notice. Inside, the bikers began coordinating, quietly discussing the steps needed to ensure Ella's long-term safety. Ryder spoke first, voice low and commanding. "We can't just leave her here and hope. Threats can return. We need eyes on every corner, exits watched, staff questioned, and anyone suspicious monitored. No gaps." Hank nodded, leaning against the counter, his gaze sharp. "Perimeter secured. Outside and inside. We're at 8. We stay alert. Kid stays protected at all times. That's non-negotiable." Cole crouched beside Ella, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. "See all this?" he asked softly. "Every single person here is showing you what loyalty and protection really look like. You're safe because we plan, because we act, because we don't leave things to chance." Ella's small hands clutched her blanket as she looked around. "But what if he comes back?" Her voice trembled. Sable's voice was calm and firm. "Then he'll see exactly why he should never have hurt you. Courage isn't just yours, it's ours too. And we'll make sure every single move he tries is met with protection, strength, and justice." Cole stood, addressing the group. "We're not just here to respond. We're here to prevent. Eyes everywhere. Be ready to act instantly if anything happens. That's how we protect someone who can't fight for herself." Outside, the engines rumbled faintly, a subtle yet unmistakable message that the biker's strength extended far beyond the diner walls. Inside, their presence was both shield and comfort, a living demonstration of loyalty, courage, and moral resolve. Ella took a deep breath, slowly absorbing the reality. 40 bikers were standing for her, ready to act, to protect, and to defend. She wasn't just being comforted, she was learning what it meant to be valued, seen, and shielded by people who understood courage and moral strength. Cole crouched down again, voice steady. "Kid, safety isn't about walls or locks. It's about people who care enough to show up, who act when it matters, who make sure nothing happens to you. That's what we're doing, and that's what family looks like." The diner, once ordinary, had transformed into a stronghold of moral justice, courage, and unwavering loyalty. Ella realized for the first time that fear could be met, danger could be countered, and protection could be absolute, not through isolation, but through the presence of those who would act without hesitation. Snow drifted past the windows, quiet and serene, but inside, the air was electric with the energy of protection and moral courage. Ella, for the first time in her young life, felt truly safe, and truly understood what it meant to have a family who would act when it mattered most. The calm inside the diner shattered the instant the back door slammed open. A shadowed figure, tall and imposing, entered, scanning the room with predatory intent. It was Ella's boss, returning, clearly emboldened by a misguided belief that one confrontation had ended nothing. Every biker tensed as one. The atmosphere became electric with quiet menace, the kind that only loyalty and moral resolve could generate. Ryder stepped forward, voice low, carrying both authority and warning. "Nobody touches her. Not a word. Not a step closer. You're done here." The man sneered, attempting to regain control. "She's mine to deal with. She can't." Cole cut him off, calm but lethal. "Kid stays. You leave. Now. This is your one warning." Hank moved like a shadow, positioning himself beside Cole. Every movement of the bikers was precise, choreographed through years of experience, each man a living shield ready to act instantly. The boss froze, sensing the immovable wall of protection surrounding Ella. 40 eyes, every one sharp and unyielding, bore into him. Ella clutched her blanket, trembling, but she no longer felt powerless. She had learned courage from those surrounding her, the quiet, unwavering strength of people who would not waver, who would act when it mattered most. Sable stepped closer to the man, her gaze cold, voice steady. "You made a choice to harm her. Now, you see the cost. One step closer, and you'll regret it. We're not bluffing." The man faltered, taking a step backward. He could see the motorcycles outside, hear the quiet hum of readiness, and feel the weight of moral authority pressing in from every angle. For the first time, he realized that power isn't in intimidation, it's in loyalty, courage, and the unwavering decision to act for what's right. Cole crouched slightly to Ella, whispering in her ear. "Kid, watch this. This is what standing together looks like. This is courage. This is family. And you are never alone again." The man muttered something under his breath and finally turned, retreating in defeat. The biker's eyes followed him, unblinking, ensuring he left without daring a single misstep. Every movement, every glance, every word reinforced a simple truth: loyalty, moral strength, and courage could protect those who deserved it most. Ella exhaled, the trembling in her body slowly leaving. She realized that fear could return, challenges could arise, but with people who act with loyalty and courage, even the darkest threats could be confronted and overcome. The diner, once ordinary, was now a sanctuary. A place where moral strength, protection, and family had won. And for Ella, a small teenage girl who had cried alone in the kitchen, the world suddenly felt wide with possibilities and filled with safety. The diner had returned to a calm, almost serene state. The hum of conversations resumed, but the atmosphere was forever changed. Where fear and helplessness had once dominated, warmth, protection, and loyalty now filled every corner. Ella sat at a table, wrapped in the blanket handed to her earlier, sipping her cocoa, her eyes glistening with tears of relief and newfound hope. Cole crouched beside her, voice steady and reassuring. "Kid, today wasn't easy. But you saw what happens when people choose to stand up for what's right. You're safe, seen, and protected. That's loyalty. That's courage. That's family." Hank placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Remember this feeling. When fear comes back, and it might, you also have the memory of people who will rise, act, and shield you. That's moral strength. That's the real power of standing together. Sable smiled softly. You don't have to carry your burdens alone anymore. Protection, justice, and care, they're not just words. They're actions, and you've seen that today. That's what it means to have a family that chooses to act. Ryder glanced around the diner, voice calm but resonant. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. Bravery is trusting the right people, standing with them, and letting them help you when you can't do it alone. That's what happened here. That's what this day proved. Outside, the motorcycles gleamed in the afternoon light, engines silent but ready. 40 bikers, silent sentinels, had transformed a simple diner into a haven of courage, protection, and moral resolve. Ella realized she had found something she had never known, a family who would act, who would stand unwaveringly, and who would define safety and loyalty not by words but by unshakable action. She took a deep breath, a small smile forming. I'm not alone, she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. And for the first time, she truly believed it. True courage isn't the absence of fear, it's standing strong with the right people by your side. Protection is more than walls, it's loyalty, action, and moral strength in motion. Family isn't always born, it's chosen, nurtured, and proven through deeds. Justice and safety are created by those willing to rise when it matters most. Even in ordinary places, extraordinary courage and loyalty can transform lives forever.